and welcome back to Tween Art. Hey, I have a question for you. Have you ever been sitting in class, you're listening, but you're rolling up bits of paper around a pencil or a pen, just fiddling while you listen? Well, if you have, then you already know how to do the artwork that we're going to talk about today. That is right, there's a name for that fiddling. It's called paper quilling. Sometimes it's called quill work, filigree, or paper mosaic. Whatever you call it, believe it or not, it's more than just fiddling with paper. Paper quilling is actually an art form that dates back to the 15th century and maybe even before that. It became a thing when French and Italian nuns used rolled up bits of paper to embellish religious artifacts. When it was gilded, meaning that it was covered with gold, it was hard to tell the difference between rolled up paper and expensive carved ivory or wood. This French piece is from the 18th century. Kind of fantastic looking, huh? What started as a fancy way for nuns to economize developed into an art form that common people took up as a decorative art. And it was taught to young ladies as handiwork that they could accomplish, like learning to embroider or play an instrument. Paper quilling is even mentioned in one of my favorite Jane Austen novels, Sense and Sensibility, which you can check out from the library on Overdrive or in book form. Okay, here is a box covered in paper quilling. It looks like a lot of work, right? And maybe a little dusty. So, okay, let's take a look at a modern master's paper quill work. I found an amazing quill work artist called Yulia. I think that's how you say her last name. You'll definitely want to explore more of her artwork and her techniques. Plus, it's just really fun and entertaining to watch her work, I think. She recommends starting with very thin paper that's easy to manipulate. I looked around to see what paper I have that's thin and easy to roll up, and I came up with a few options. As I say a lot, I'm a fan of recycling and using what you have around the house, so I recommend cutting strips of the pages of used catalogs and magazines. They're very thin and they're easy to manipulate, and they're also free. Some other options are binder and notebook paper. I actually use notebook paper for my design that is my subject. Let me show you the catalogs that I have though. So I just have this one, and I have my alma mater, my school that I went to sends me their magazine monthly, and after I read it, I can use it. So this is the paper that I used. And so I just cut it into thin strips, and you want to make sure that your strips are all the same width, and the same length is helpful because it makes your paper spools or quills the same size. The only reason that I might not use construction paper is that the fibers are a little rough and it doesn't work quite as well when you're rolling it. So let's take a look at the other materials we'll need to get started. So we talked about paper. You might want to do everything the same color. You might want to have varied colors. And then we talked a little bit about tools. I recommend starting with like a skinny paintbrush or just anything that you can easily wrap the paper around and hold in your hand. You'll need scissors. You'll need something as a backing. I like cardstock or cardboard. You might remember the cardboard piece that I showed you last week. I have some of those, and that's what I'm going to use for mine. I'll show you in a little bit. You need white glue, school glue. And then if you want to color your background, you could use crayons, markers, colored pencils, or you might just want it to be blank. That's fine. Okay, now let's talk about some tips. So we need to choose our subject, right? And we'll talk about subject in a minute. Choose your paper, cut the strips the same width and the same length, or you can make them varied. It's completely up to you. If you want it to be two-dimensional, of course, or excuse me, three-dimensional, but you want it to all be the same height, then they'll need to all be the same width. And if you want them to be uniform size, and you'll want them to be the same length. But if you don't, then you can vary them. Use your tool first to bend the paper. I'll show you what I mean by that. And then you can start rolling. And don't worry, just experiment and play. You'll have fun with it. Okay, are you still with me? Let's talk about subjects, ideas for art. What do you want your quill work subject to be? You could do anything that your imagination can come up with, but I recommend beginning with something uncomplicated if you haven't tried this out before. You may already have something amazing in mind, but here are a few ideas that I came up with. So some possible subjects might be a simple animal silhouette or an insect silhouette. So here is a dog in a star silhouette. Maybe you have a favorite dog breed. Here is a little chick, so cute. Here is a little rabbit. There's a heart shape. Let's see, what else? Oh, you could use like your favorite activity. Maybe it's soccer or football, gymnastics, maybe it's ballet. Or what about a logo that you like? Maybe a favorite sports team or whatever other logo. Or maybe you come up with like a short message like a peace sign. Whatever your imagination comes up with is going to be great. So here's my work area. I've got a bunch of old catalogs, and I have my tools. I have my scissors, this paintbrush that I've been using to wrap my paper around. Here's one that I kind of unraveled. I have my white glue. I have a knife. I couldn't find my X-Acto blade, and this is a really sharp knife. If you are going to use a knife, you probably need to ask for permission. Otherwise, just use scissors. Here is a skewer. Most people have like a bamboo skewer or a toothpick lying around somewhere in their kitchen, so that works really well. You can see that the profile is a little bit thinner, so it's going to make a little bit tighter circle. So you can see, let's see, there's that much space, but I'll just come over it. And then I'm going to start building up my my little spools, or my little quills. I don't know what you want to call them, little circles of paper. And this is 2 of these lengths together. And I just decided I'm going to use all recycled paper because I want to, but you can use whatever you want, of course. Okay, and then we talked about subjects. So I just got this image off the internet, and it's just a stylized horse. I love horses. This is my background. You might remember these from last week. I showed you that I save a lot of these cardboard things. So this side has a little bit of a rough edge. And I like the way the cardboard looks, so I'm probably not going to color it or put paper over it, but you certainly could. And the reason that I cut this out is because I'm going to glue it on. This is like a little stylized mane. And I didn't cut out the circles because I don't really need to. Those will go on last. So I'll glue this guy right here with just the glue stick. And then when I am ready to start gluing these on, I'm going to put a puddle of glue right here, just the white glue, on my disposable paper plate, which I have used many times. It's already got dry glue on it. And then I'm going to start like probably right down here, and then I'm going to build it all the way up. I'll show you guys when I have a few done. We'll come back. Hey, so I wanted to show you something a little bit funny. This is a major fail. I couldn't get this one off, so it's on there permanently, but that's okay. I have the other end. So this is a bamboo skewer, which is a little thinner profile than the paintbrush, because I wanted to make smaller ones for my horse's ears. So they're going to go up here. I have one done. Well, I have 2 done, but I can't use that one. So I've got one. So those are going to be for maybe for around the nose too, but for the ears. And here's 4 of the bigger ones that I've got done. And I wanted to show you, so that's the color of mine, and it's going to be all different colors. If I wanted to, and if you wanted to, you could paint the whole thing once it's dry. Or you could paint part of it, or just the part in the silhouette, the subject, or you could just paint the background, or you could use your, I say a lot, sorry, the markers or crayons or pencils, or maybe you covered yours in paper first before you put your subject on. And I think I said, but I just got this profile, this little silhouette off the internet, and I just copied it and cut it out. What was I going to say? Oh, so do you remember how I told you that the nuns used paper and then gilded it with gold? So painting it would be kind of the same idea. I mean, you'd be able to tell that it's little quills. But once this is dry, it's really hard because these, remember, papers made out of, it's a wood product. So these are quilled tightly and then they're closed up with glue and they're attached with glue. So it's pretty sturdy. So I think it's going to be great.